So topic for week 5 is exception handling. So when you say exception handling, it is a one way to write a program to first assuming that nothing is unusual or incorrect that will happen to our program. So if you are going to still remember during the sequential programming concept, diba, we do not actually accept anything that is unusual. So we always assume that the input of the user is always correct. But of course, we're not we're finished with sequential, so that's why we're going to make use of exception handling, meaning if, for example, the user tries to attempt or tries to input something that is unusual, like for example, invalid value, we can actually correct it, or we can actually prompt the user that the input is incorrect. Okay, so we use C++ exception handling facilities to add code for this unusual cases. So commonly used to handle error situations or a way to handle exceptional situations. So we call this as throwing an exception. Okay, so when you say throwing an exception, either some library, software, or your code provides a mechanism that signals when something unusual happens. Okay, so if there is, for example, a problem with the input of the user, okay, that is actually unusual, so we call it as throwing an exception. Then at another place in your program, you place the code that deals with the exceptional case. So for example, you already put the keywords or the correct codes to validate values, we call it as handling the exception. So in this case, we're going to make use of another keywords for exception handling to test the unusual error, or to test unusual things that happens to your code, or it means that we are validating already your data within your code. So we call it try, throw, catch method. So let's first discuss about the try syntax. For the try syntax, we have the word try. Try is a keyword in C++. Okay, so this is a user-defined function, and then followed by the curly braces. So within the curly braces, there will be statements. This is actually a statement that codes that try, possibly throwing an exception or more code. So meaning, on this particular area, we're going to make use of syntaxes that will be used for testing and validating the data or validating your input. Okay, so like for example, you need first to input the value. You're going to try the value. Then after trying the value, you need to test the value. So testing the value, we're going to also include if statement within the try block. Okay, so that's the syntax for the try. Next is the throw. Okay, throw syntax. So for the throw, it's just a simple one-liner syntax. We use the word throw. Throw is again a predefined function in C++, and then what should be the variable, or what should be the value or expression to be thrown. Okay, so take note that the value thrown is sometimes called an exception, and the execution of a throw statement is called throwing an exception. Okay, so there is a note here that when the throw statement is already executed, the execution of the enclosing try block is stopped. So meaning to say, if the throw statement is already true, then the rest of the code within below the codes of the try block will be stopped already. It's the same thing as the if statement or the if else statement. If the first statement of the if statement is true, then the rest of the statement or the other condition will be ignored. Okay, so the same thing. So take note also, if the try block is followed by a suitable catch block, then flow of control is transferred to the catch block. A throw statement is almost always embedded in a branching statement such as an if statement. So again, as mentioned a while ago, within the try block, we always use an if statement to test and validate the data or your input. Next is another syntax of the exception handling. The last part is the catch block. Okay, catch block contains catch block parameter within the parentheses. And then take note of this, that a catch block can only handle a single parameter. Okay, so take note of that. We cannot actually, this is actually like a function, but it only accepts one or a single parameter. Unlike function, we can actually include more than one parameter within the parentheses. So again, the syntax for catch block is catch, and then parentheses. Within the parentheses is your parameter. Again, parameter consists of a data type and then a variable name. Okay. Then after that, again, it is a need to have the parentheses again, open and close parentheses. Then again, within the parentheses is already again a statement, okay, a code to be performed or a statement to be performed if the value of the catch block parameter type is thrown in the try block. So take note again of this class. A catch block is often referred to as an exception handler, which is a term that suggests that a catch block has a function-like nature. As mentioned a while ago, that a catch block is the same thing as, or the same function as subprograms or function-like. Okay, then take note of this again. Each catch block can have at most one catch block parameter. So again, the differences between the function and the catch block is just catch block can only handles a single parameter. Okay? And the catch block parameter does two things. Catch block parameter is preceded by a data type. Okay? And you need to name the variable. Okay? So, in summary, for the exception handling, when you say exception is a value, a variable or object that contains information about the error that occurred. Exception handler is a code designed to deal with the exception. So, when you say code, this is already the try, throw, and catch method. Then throwing an exception is already the process of generating and passing an exception at the point where the error was detected. So how are we going to identify the error when we actually deals with the try block? Okay, so that's actually the discussion for exception handling.